This is Sarah from Sarah Ran Away with a Spoon. Welcome to my live. Thanks for joining in today. Today I'm going to be talking about different types of apple pies. So I didn't really think about it, but there's many different types of apple pies. What about how many different types of apple pies there are? Let me tell you a little bit about me and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the apple pies. So like I said, I'm Sarah from Sarah Ran Away with a Spoon.com, and I teach online baking classes to teens and adults for home bakers to learn how to bake in their own kitchens. When they are learning to bake, they gain skills and build confidence in their own kitchens. So it's fall. I grew up and lived in New England for many years, and one of the things my family always did was go apple picking. Every fall, we would go to an orchard and pick apples and fill up the whole bag full of apples. And my favorite types of apples to get in an orchard were McCown's and McIntosh. And as I became more of a cook, I added Cortland's in. Cortland's make great pies if you're in the Northeast and you can find Cortland's. It's October, so they may be around in the orchards, they may be in your stores at this point. But if you're not in the Northeast, I bet your grocery stores are full of apples, and there's all different types of apples, fresh apples that you can get that taste delicious for eating and are great for making pies. So I was thinking about pies and what kind of pie? What kind of pie do I want to make? What kind of pie do people like to eat in general? So I came up with a list. My list of different types of apple pie include the classic apple pie, the deep dish apple pie, a slab apple pie, hand pies, mini pies, and lattice top pies. That's just my list of what I came up with. There might be more. So if you have an apple pie that you make that's not one of those, leave a note in the comments and tell me what kind of pie do you make that's different than the type I listed. And maybe you don't know what all the types I listed are, so let me go through and just talk about some of the different types of pies. A classic pie is what I think of in a regular, like 9-inch pie pan with, it's like an inch deep, and it has a bottom crust and a top layer, and that's what I consider to be a classic pie, apple pie. You can make that with a homemade crust or store-bought crust. And let me tell you, a homemade pie crust is not all that hard to make. It's about 5 ingredients. If you have a food processor, you can pop it in the food processor and done in like 10 minutes. So don't be afraid to make a homemade pie crust, but I guess that's a talk for another day. So classic is the regular pie pan, 1-inch deep with a bottom and a top crust. A deep dish pie is a different pan, and that is usually like 10 inches, and it's 1.5, 2 inches deep, really thick. And that too probably has a bottom and a top. And one of the big differences between the classic and the deep dish pie is that there's more crust to apple ratio in the classic, and then there's more filling to crust ratio in the deep dish. Though you do need a special pan, and if you are using a store-bought pie dough, it may not fit in your deep dish pan. So just keep that in mind when you're using your store-bought, that you might not have enough pie dough to fill the depth of that pan. A slab is usually more rectangular, and when I make slabs, I cook it on a baking tray. So I use a baking tray to cook my slab pies. And then when you cut it up, instead of cutting pie slices on a triangular pie slices, it's usually rectangular. And you can probably serve more people with a slab pie. And slab pies have all different types of coating toppings and filling and the way that you put it together. I've done a slab pie that I like to make that I cut out shapes with using a cookie cutter, and mine are leaves, and I just kind of put them close together on top, so it makes a really pretty pie. So that's what I've done with slabs. A handheld pie is uh, pie pie dough that you seal together, and you put a little bit of something in the middle. And usually handheld pies have something that's the consistency of jam, and it's maybe like what you would think of maybe like a Pop Tart or something like that. Or um, so one of the things that I have in my kitchen, I just got this at the orchard. This is apple butter, and apple butter is pureed apples, and it's slow cooked for a long, long time. It's like you even cook applesauce even longer until it caramelizes, and it makes a consistency much like jelly. So I was thinking ham pies with apple butter. Well, you could either buy it in a store or you could make your own. So yeah, we have hand pies. Mini pies are just what they sound like, little mini pies. And the easiest way to make a mini pie is in a muffin tin or even a mini muffin tin. So mini pies, yep, those are yummy too. And another one that I have thought of is the lattice top, and that's just the you take the dough and you cut it into strips, and then you weave it in and out so it forms kind of like a crisscross topping, and that's called a lattice. So the lattice topping, it's a little bit more work, but they're very beautiful. One type I didn't mention and I just thought of, so let's add that to the list. I wonder if it might be in my comments already, is a crumb apple pie. So instead of two crusts, it has a bottom crust, and then the top is made with flour and sugar and butter, maybe oats, and it's a bit crumbly and crunchy on top. So that's another type. So those are some of the different types of apple pies. The ones that I talked about today, I talked about classic, deep, slab, handheld, mini, and lattice, and I added in at the end the crumb pie. So I hope that you learned something about different types of apple pies. Who knew there were so many? I didn't know there were so many until I started to think about it. And if you have enjoyed this video about the different types of apple pies, I invite you to check out my free guide, the 7 kitchen tools every home cook needs. And you can find that at the link in the description above, in the description above about this video. You can find the link to my free guide. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you download the free guide and you leave a comment about any type of apple pie you've made that I didn't cover today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.